Greetings, Willa Machant here once again. I would love to talk today about smudging and clearing yourself and your space. A lot of times people are asking me, well, how do I get rid of this negative energy that's around me? How do I get rid of the negative maybe spirits that they think are in their home? And they could very well be there. Well, I do clearing work for people, for their homes, their businesses. So I just wanted to go over some things that I use or that you could use. And so I'm going to go through this one at a time. This could be a little bit of a lengthier video for you today. But the first thing that everybody goes for is sage. And sage is amazing. Now, you buy sage generally either loose or in a bundle like this. This is a sage wand. This one is a small sage wand. But when I get my sage, I like to take my sage apart. Now, the reason I do that is, for one, I think it burns better for me, but it also lasts a little longer because your sage wand could sit there and smolder for a bit, and then you're really wasting it if you're done with your smudging. So I'm going to go ahead and just light some of this just to get this going. I love the smell of it anyway. So to use sage, you would take a sprig of it. This is dried sage. This is a White Mountain sage. This is my favorite, but there's many different kinds of sage. So we have the wand type sage, but I just got this idea because this is something else you can use if you don't have the regular dried sage like that. You can go into your kitchen cabinet, you can get your sage that you buy at the grocery store, and you can burn that too. We have charcoal discs that are self-lighting, and you could just use sage from the grocery store on charcoal. I'm going to just show you how all of this stuff works today. So first, this, our sage that I have unbundled from the wand. And I like to let it get going pretty good here. And you'll see we have a lot of nice smoke coming up. Sage is antibacterial. If you've had a lot of illness in your home, it's great to go around and just smudge with this sage smoke everywhere. Now it can get a little smoky in here, but I love it. Now the other thing that I use when I have my sage is I use a smudging feather. Now I make smudging feathers. I sell kits for clearing and smudging. So this would be something, and you can just do it to yourself, and that way you can clear yourself and your space, okay? Now to put out sage, you can just tap it in a shell. Now, when I use my shells here, I have an abalone shell, which is my main shell, and I also put inside a larger oyster shell. Now, not everybody does that. I do that because, first off, I don't like my hands to burn when I've got charcoal lit in here. It gets very hot if you just have it in the abalone. Also, it wears your abalone out. The abalone will finally break and you'll have a hole in the bottom, and then it's, no longer useful. So by getting just a cheap oyster shell, and here in New Orleans we have a lot of those. You can go in any restaurant and basically ask, can I get an oyster shell from you? And they'll give you one because it's in their garbage. But I like to put that in my abalone. So, and when I sell my kits, I also add an oyster shell with the abalone because it's just useful. So that's the sage, loose sage from the wand. Now I could light this as well. It's going to smolder just like that. But like I said, sometimes you even have to wet it to make it stop smoldering, because once it gets lit inside, it's not going to stop. Okay? So that is sage. Now, the other thing that I want to show you is this self-lighted charcoal, because I want to show you how that sage from the kitchen would work as well. And I haven't used that in years, but back in the day when I was without sage, I would use my kitchen sage. Be the kitchen witch, they say. There's always something in your cabinet that you could use. And I'm going to go over a couple more things with you for that as well. So I'm going to get this charcoal lit, hopefully. They generally take a couple seconds to get lit really good. Now you'll know when it's lit because, I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see sparks starting to go across. And then you'll know that it's lighting all the way through. So, there we go. There we go. So, and that does get very hot. It's just like charcoal the self-lighting charcoal you have for cooking outside in your grill. So, but this will be ready as soon as it turns white, okay? So in the meantime, while we're waiting for that to turn white for us, I also want to bring out Palo Santo. Now this is another kind of smudge. I know a lot of people like to use it. It's actually a piece of wood, Palo Santo, and you do it the same way, but you'd be lighting it. Let's see if I can get it to smolder for me. I do like the smell. I just prefer the sage. There we go. We have some smoldering. And it has a lovely scent as well. So that's Palo Santo. So that's another form of smudge that you can use. Now I also brought out some sweetgrass. Sage and sweetgrass, of course, would be more for your native traditions. Sweetgrass is one of my favorite smells. It is absolutely sweet and intoxicating. So I really love that smell as well. And I'm just gonna pull off a little bit here. It's how I burn mine, and I put it on the charcoal just because I like the smell. So I would just pull off a few bits of that. Let's see if we can. And just lay it on the charcoal. And that can smolder, and you can get smudge smoke from that as well. Now, let's try some of this sage. Let's see how well it smokes for us, because this is really ground sage. I think you can get a little bit more flaky sage, but let's just try some of the ground sage, see if that works. Oh, it works very well. So for that, I would walk around, it smells just as lovely, and I would use my smudging feather to just get that smudge to go. And when that burns off, you can just take something like the end of the lighter and you can knock that off of the charcoal if you wanted to burn something else without the sage. So, but that's the sage. Now, the other thing that I use, and this I use in my clearing work, okay? Smudging is for every day. You may just go through your home and smudge it to get rid of some of the less than positive energy. It really uplifts the vibration of energy in your home with just the smudge, okay? But let's say you've been having you feel like you've had a really bad run of luck. Things just are going horrible. I mean, we could have broke our foot, we could have had a car accident, we could have had a lot of things. You may feel like there's an attachment, a really heavy attachment of negative energy on you. That's when I pull out the frankincense. People will come to me if they have a spirit attachment, and I use frankincense resin. It's kind of, well, if you think about it, frankincense has been used in many religions. They use it even in churches. It really helps enlighten you, but it also clears energies. So I'm just gonna drop one little bit here. Well, if I didn't drop it in the hole, let's make some room for it. And let me tell you that charcoal gets hot, so I don't want to burn my fingers. Okay, I'm just going to use a different piece because I do not want to get burned. So it will melt, and that's what will cause the smoke from the frankincense. You do not need much. One chunk of frankincense will burn for a long time. Many times I'm done with my clearing and I have to take that frankincense off the charcoal because it will continue to smolder. and it literally can fill your entire house with frankincense. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually very good for breathing. If you have like bronchitis or a congestion, that's really good. I hear it's even good for asthma. Now you might think that smoke's not good, but for some reason what's in this resin actually helps heal the body. And frankincense doesn't just come like this in the resin. I also buy it in an oil. Now this is the therapeutic grade oil, and I put that in my sprays for clearing my home and clearing people as well. When I do a clearing, you're going to get a lot of different things. You're going to get Reiki, which is what I do to figure out what's going on. That's how I sense things with my Reiki. And my Reiki guides show me things. Then I will smudge to make sure everything is clear in my space. I do that actually before my client even arrives. I'll use my sage to clear the space. And then when they get here, I will then add the frankincense resin on charcoal. Depending on how heavy the attachment is, I even use dragon's blood. So dragon's blood is resin from a palm tree. So I love the smell of dragon's blood too. So that's another form. If you didn't have frankincense, you could just use dragon's blood. Both of those are very good for heavy clearing and banishing of negative energies and spirits. So those are the two resins that I brought out today. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you are smudging feathers. Now, I was using one earlier. This one was, I hand beaded this one many, many years ago. These are just dyed turkey feathers. But I hand beaded this when I lived on a native reservation up in Canada. And it actually has the Thunderbird on it. So this is very special to me, and I've used this in many, many, many ceremonies and rituals and clearings. So this one's extremely special to me. But I've recently started making other ones with different types of turkey feathers. This is a barred turkey, and I use this, I wrap them in leather for you, and I use hemp cords and glass beads. It's just, I sell them in different colors, and I put them in my different clearing kits and smudging kits that I also sell. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll put a link down below that you can contact me for those kits as well. So as you can see, we really have some frankincense going here. Well, it smells lovely as well, so I really like that. Charcoal. You can buy these in tubes. I buy them in a box of like 10 rolls because I do use a lot of charcoal. But you can pick these up in metaphysical shops. You can buy that online as well. Now, the reason I started putting together my clearing kits was because there's people that live in different parts of the country and there's no shops around, and they would have to shop at different places online to be able to get all of the pieces that they needed to put together a clearing. And I also add instructions. So it's all printed out, you know exactly what you need to do. It's all written out for you. And so that is why I did the clearing kits. I don't make any money. I break even on it just with the shipping and the products that are in there. Every one of the feathers are hand done by me. Everything is natural. You'll get abalone, you'll get oyster shell, you get sage, you get black salt, which is something I did not bring out, but black salt is a combination of black pepper and sea salt, finely ground. I do a 50-50 blend of that, and I add in whatever charcoal I've used, especially if I've used it for frankincense. I throw that in too. That just gives it more power. But black salt, once you've cleared your space, I recommend that you take black salt and put a pinch, like a line of it, at every outside window and every outside door. That keeps the negative energies from coming back in. Now, of course, it's going to get moved, so periodically you're going to have to re-clear your home and put that salt back down again. But that's how I do my clearings and my protection in my home and in other people's homes. So the other thing I wanted to show you are bay leaves. Bay leaves are great. I can use these for smudging, especially if I've been a little anxious, maybe a little sad. Bay leaf is awesome. So you don't just cook with it, you take it out of the kitchen and you put it on your charcoal. Or you can just burn the leaf, just like sage. Burns really fast though. But then you have that smoke. And that is awesome as well. So bay leaf from the kitchen, just ground sage from the kitchen. Both of those will work for you. I also sometimes take rosemary out of my garden. Rosemary is great too. It's kind of purifying. So there's multiple things you can use for smudging and for clearing. Now what's the difference, right? Let me kind of go in depth with that a little bit. Smudging is for every day. You can smudge yourself every morning or every night. You can smudge your home every day or once a week or once a month, whatever you decide you need to do. Clearing is for clearing out really nasty, negative energies. I do a lot of spiritual work, so sometimes we run into negative spirits. Things that maybe haven't ever been a human. So inhuman spirits. Some will call them demons. I call them elementals or just inhuman spirits. That's when I pull out the frankincense and the dragon's blood together. And once I clear a space or a person, I then go back with sage to bless the space. And the other thing that I use is I created a spray for those people who maybe live in a place where they can't burn sage or any of the other things. This is Willow's Spirit Be Gone spray. And I made this, and it's a blend of Florida water, frankincense oil, and a plant called adamu or guinea hen weed is the other name for it. This I call my exorcism in a bottle because it gets rid of all spirits. This is my last resort kind of thing though. Mainly because we don't want to get rid of our loved ones, our ancestors, if they're hanging around trying to help us out. I don't want to kick Grandpa out, right? I want to just calm the negative energies down. Frankincense and dragon's blood will not get rid of somebody like your grandfather's spirit. It's going to get rid of the negative, nasty things, poltergeists, inhuman spirits, your demonic things. That's what that gets rid of. But the Willow's Spirit Be Gone stuff gets rid of everything. So you use that as a last resort. So if Grandpa's hanging around in your house, you don't want to get rid of Grandpa, but maybe you think maybe you're bringing something home with you from work, leave this outside. Spray this on yourself before you go in your home. Now you've left it behind. I will use that if I've done a seance, let's say at someone's space. We don't want to have spirits hanging around in their space if they didn't belong there. Willow's Spirit Be Gone spray works for that. Okay? Don't mind me, I'm going to have a little tea. Now, the other thing I brought out today was a stone. And this is my black tourmaline, and I've talked about this before. So when I work with clients, if I feel the client has an attachment, if I feel there's some spirit that's really nasty hanging on to them, I might have them hold this, or I might place it maybe on their solar plexus if they're laying on my massage table, my Reiki table, to have it pull it out. But this helps. If you feel like you can't use smudge, you don't want to use a spray, you're not really sure about anything, just get yourself some black tourmaline. That's a great clearing stone. Black tourmaline is self-cleansing as well. You don't have to recharge it. You don't have to do anything with black tourmaline. It self-cleans and it recharges itself. what it does is it'll take a negative entity, it'll dissipate it into nothingness from you. I've watched it happen many times. I've had people hold this sitting out at my tarot setup in Jackson Square here in New Orleans. Let me tell you, there can be some nasty spirits out there sometimes. But I've had somebody hold it in their hands, and I had a really big piece of it, and they just got this weird look on their face, and they went, is this supposed to happen? And they opened their hands, and it's in 3 pieces. It really does the job. Now I keep those 3 pieces on my table, and if they break into more, that's fine. Anytime pieces fall off of this, that's a good sign that something has been taken from you. So, but this is a nice big chunk. It's not that pricey. I do love using it. I think it's well worth whatever you pay for it. I think this piece might have been, it's under $20 for this piece that I've used. But I keep this one around. So that's the different things I brought out today. Now, if you are interested in any of the clearing kits, smudging kits, my smudging kit will come with a shell, it'll come with a sage wand, and it will come, what am I thinking? It comes with the abalone, sage wand, and a smudging feather. So you'll get a feather. And you can ask, if you can say, hey, my favorite color is purple, or my favorite color is red. And I do try to match you up with the color feather that you want. And the other thing that I sell are the complete clearing kits. With that, you're going to get black salt, you're going to get a bag of frankincense, you're going to get a bottle of the Spirit Be Gone spray, you're going to get your smudging feather, you're going to get a roll of charcoal, and a wand of sage. So you're going to get all of it. Now, the complete clearing kits are $35, but that includes your shipping. And if you just wanted the smudging kit, I believe they're $22, but that also includes shipping. And unfortunately, shipping is killing everybody these days. But that is what I do offer. So I hope that this has helped you see the different types of things you can use. Like I said, Palo Santo. I don't use it very often, but I have a piece just in case. You just never know what you need, right? If I'm guided to use it, I use it. If my guides say, hey, you need dragon's blood, you need frankincense, you might as well get the frankincense oil out and everything else, I'll bring out all of my weapons, my tools, and use it against anything that's negative. But if it's just a daily cleansing, especially if you've had illness in your home, use your sage. If you're negative, if you've been having a bad attitude, being down, having anxiety, sage is your savior. Burn some sage, breathe in that smoke, smudge yourself with it. It's going to help lift your vibration, which is what this is all about. Get rid of the negatives and lift everything up. So that's what's important, lifting the vibration. So I hope this has helped you. If you are looking for a personal reading, of course, check out my website, willowlemachant.com. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. All those links are going to be down below in the description of this video. I will also have links and information on how to get the clearing or the smudging kits, if that's what you want. But until next time, be blessed.